Do you ever feel like you're carrying the weight of the entire house on your shoulders? And no matter what you do, it never feels good enough. You go to bed exhausted, wake up feeling like you're already behind, and just try to hold it all together. I've been there too, and that is actually exactly why I became a mindset coach for moms, because no mom should be stuck in constant overwhelm. And in this video, I want to help you understand where exactly this overwhelm comes from and one simple practice that you can start using today to feel more grounded and calm so you can be in control again. I see you, mama. And we are going to shift this together. I don't believe in struggling. I don't believe in feeling miserable. I don't believe in waking up every day feeling the same, dreading the day. And that's exactly why I'm recording this video, because no more of that. So today let's talk about how can we break this overwhelm, and before that, where does it actually come from? Why do we feel overwhelmed all the time? Because that's what it feels like, right? It feels like all the time. Now, today I had one of those days where it seemed like things was just piling up right from the start. It did not start off it good at all because last night's sleep, it felt like non-existent. Maybe it's still me being postpartum. I don't know. Maybe it's bad sleep habits. Maybe it's a mixture of postpartum and bad sleeping habits, because right now I'm sitting here at 1 in the morning recording this video instead of sleeping, right? So it started off with me being completely exhausted, and then the day just continued with this weird vibe. I'm in the second half of my cycle, so I'm low energy anyway. Like, give me a nice cup of tea, give me a blanket, give me a book, and leave me alone. That's kind of the vibe I was carrying through the day, and it just didn't happen. So let's talk about this. Where does it come from? Because I know I'm not alone. So, reason number one: constant multitasking and lack of boundaries. Let's be real. We were not built to constantly run 10 tasks, 20 tasks, or I want to say 100 tasks, but that's probably overboard. So, we were not meant to run so many tasks at the same time. And as moms, we constantly do it because we always try to think of the 10 steps ahead. At the same time, we're trying to control the chaos around us while trying to cater to different requests. So, obviously, this is one of the huge drivers: constant multitasking and the lack of boundaries. Which leads us then to number two: the constant pressure to be a perfect mom. So it's often the internal pressure that we put on ourselves. It's not other people, it's not the pressure, because nobody is going to show up at our door and say like, "Excuse me, are you the perfect mom?" No, it's ourselves. And that's where this pressure comes from. So at the end, it comes down to us to let go of this pressure and say, "You know what? I'm trying to get to this ideal here that I can never reach." And so if we are always chasing a standard, a level that cannot be reached, of course we feel like failing, right? Of course it feels like it's always too much. And that leads us to reason number three, which in my opinion is the biggest one, which is carrying unresolved emotional baggage. That one is huge. And to be honest, as a mom walking the talk, that one was the one that surprised me the most. What comes up as and shows up as overwhelm or even as anger and frustration towards our kids is actually things that we haven't dealt with, emotions that we haven't dealt with. And that's why it's so exhausting. And that's probably the biggest stressor, because I like to explain it like this: if we have these cups of fear, anger, hurt, guilt, so we have these buckets. And throughout our life, these buckets get fuller and fuller and fuller and fuller. And eventually, we walk around in life And this bucket is just ready. If you think of a water cup, it's just ready to spill, right? And all is missing is a tiny drop because it's just filled to the brim. So as soon as we shake it a little bit, as soon as we add a little more, it just erupts like a volcano. And that is exactly what happens a lot of times when all these tasks build up, when we feel angry, frustrated, because we have all of this emotions. It's just waiting to tip over. And it's because our past has not been addressed. We pushed our own emotions away because we did not make peace with the past. And that is the biggest reason why we deal with the overwhelm. So now that we talked about these three reasons, I want you to hear this. There's nothing wrong with you, and that also does not have to be your normal. I think sometimes it can be so refreshing to know there's a different way, because when we're so used to driving in a certain way and showing up in a certain way, sometimes it feels like that's just it. That's it. There's no way out. But hear me on this. It does not have to be your base. At the end, it's just a signal from your body to let you know that there's something that needs to be addressed. The moment you start listening to that signal, instead of fighting it, that's when things shift. When we start to listen and allow it and process it and work with it, that's when things shift. So let's talk about a really simple practice that you can start incorporating into your day when overwhelm shows up. And the simple practice that you can start doing is the moment you feel overwhelm show up, that's the moment when you want to pause. Just pause, put your hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and say this to yourself: I am safe. I can do one thing at a time. Because what overwhelm is really telling us is that we're having a hard time focusing on one thing right now because we don't know what to focus on. So it's about bringing it back into perspective. Because the truth is, does everything need to be done? Probably not. There are probably some things that really need to be addressed in that moment. So let's focus on them. But there's also a lot of tasks that seem very important, that our mind wants us to tell that they're important, but they're actually not. And that is why this pause and this reminder of, hey, I'm safe, and it's okay to take one thing at a time, is creating such a big shift, because it allows you to break that pattern of just running with the overwhelm and the stress. And instead, it's kind of like taking a step back and saying, okay, so it's okay, because then you can follow it with the question, so what's important right now? So it's a reset that only takes a minute and allows us to go from overwhelmed and stressed into a more calm mode. So I encourage you to try it out. Let me know in the comments below how it feels for you and how it helped you. And in the next video, we're going to talk about one of the biggest ways overwhelm shows up, and that is through yelling at our kids. That's the moment when we snap because it's just too much and we lash out, even if we promised ourselves we would not do it because we want to do better. So this is what we're going to talk about in the next video, and how to break the cycle even on the hardest days. So make sure you watch that video next. I see you there.